Ezekiel was a priest in Jerusalem when the Babylonians attacked. They don't destroy the city but took some Israelites, including Ezekiel, as prisoners into exile. The book starts 5 years later, with Ezekiel sitting on the bank of an irrigation canal near his Israelite refugee camp. On his 30th birthday, the year he would have become a priest in Jerusalem. Suddenly, Ezekiel sees a vision of a storm cloud coming toward him. Inside the cloud are four strange creatures with wings touching each other. Each creature has four faces. He also sees four wheels, one by each creature. The wings of the creatures support a dazzling platform, and on it is a throne. Sitting on the throne is a human-like figure, glowing and surrounded by fire. Suddenly, Ezekiel realizes what he is witnessing. He calls it the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. It's God riding his royal throne chariot. Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 26 to 28 NIV. Above the vault over their heads was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal, as it full of fire, and that from there down he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day. So was the radiance around him. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell face down, and I heard the voice of one speaking. The phrase, the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, underscores the profound and overwhelming nature of Ezekiel's vision of God's majesty. The word glory in Hebrew is kavod, meaning heavy or significant. Biblical authors use this word to describe the physical appearance and manifestation of God's significance when he appears in person. The most surprising aspect of Ezekiel's vision is the presence of the God's glory in Babylon. Normally, it's expected to be above the Ark of the Covenant in the temple in Jerusalem. The first part of the book delves into this question as Ezekiel starts accusing Israel of rebellion. God speaks to Ezekiel from the throne chariot and commissions him as a prophet. Book of Ezekiel, chapter 2, verses 1 to 5 NIV. He said to me, Son of man, stand up on your feet, and I will speak to you. As he spoke, the Spirit came into me and raised me to my feet, and I heard him speaking to me. He said, Son of man, I am sending you to the Israelites, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. They and their ancestors have been in revolt against me to this very day. The people to whom I am sending you are obstinate and stubborn. Say to them, This is what the sovereign Lord says. And whether they listen or fail to listen, for they are a rebellious people, they will know that a prophet has been among them. These verses capture the moment when Ezekiel receives his divine commission to prophesy to the Israelites on behalf of God. Ezekiel's task is to accuse Israel of breaking their covenant agreement with God in several ways. Israel has turned to other gods and idols, leading to widespread social injustice and violence. As a consequence, God appoints Ezekiel to warn the people. The first Babylonian attack, which led to Ezekiel's exile, will be followed by another. Jerusalem, including its temple, faces imminent destruction. Ezekiel employs both words and symbolic actions to convey his message effectively. These actions served as a form of street theater. Ezekiel would publicly engage in bizarre behaviors that acted as parables of his prophetic message. For instance, he was instructed to build a small model of Jerusalem and simulate an attack on it. Another time, he shaved off all his hair and then chopped it up with a sword. Indeed, Ezekiel's actions were extreme and symbolic. For instance, he was instructed to enact the role of the scapegoat on the Day of Atonement. He also lay on his side for over a year, consuming food cooked over dung, symbolizing the dire conditions people would face during the siege of Jerusalem. These actions were vivid representations of the messages he conveyed to the people. It's indeed disheartening that God informed Ezekiel that no one would listen to him. Israel would reject him due to their rebellious and hardened hearts. Ezekiel, unfortunately, witnessed this prophecy coming true. After about a year, Ezekiel has another vision, this time about the temple. He goes on a virtual tour and sees what's happening there in his absence. In the outer courtyard, he witnesses a large idol statue, and inside the temple, he sees the elders of Israel worshipping other gods. Additionally, the women of Israel are worshipping a Babylonian god named Tammuz. The vision concludes with God's glorious throne chariot departing from the temple, moving eastward towards Babylon. Ezekiel chapter 10, verses 18 to 19 NIV. Then the glory of the Lord departed from over the threshold of the temple and stopped above the cherubim. While I watched, the cherubim spread their wings and rose from the ground, and as they went, the wheels went with them. They stopped at the entrance of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the God of Israel was above them. This passage depicts the symbolic departure of God's glory from the temple, indicating God's withdrawal of His presence from the people of Israel due to their persistent disobedience and idolatry. In chapter 11, we understand why and how God's glory appeared to Ezekiel in Babylon. Israel's idolatry and covenant violations have become blatant and offensive, prompting God to leave His temple, which He then consigns to destruction. However, God hasn't forsaken His people. Instead, He accompanies them into exile. At the end of the vision, God promises to bring a remnant of Israel back to the land. He pledges to transform them by replacing their heart of stone with a new soft heart of flesh, enabling them to truly love and follow their God. This promise offers a small glimmer of hope, but it's overshadowed by the looming reality of imminent destruction. Ezekiel chapter 11, verses 16 to 20 NIV. Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Although I sent them far away among the nations and scattered them among the countries, yet for a little while I have been a sanctuary for them in the countries where they have gone. Therefore say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will gather you from the nations and bring you back from the countries where you have been scattered, and I will give you back the land of Israel again. They will return to it and remove all its vile images and detestable idols. I will give them an undivided heart and put a new spirit in them. I will remove from them their heart of stone and give them a heart of flesh. Then they will follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. They will be my people, and I will be their God. Chapter 11 serves as a pivotal transition, helping us grasp the design of the rest of the book. The subsequent 3 sections announce God's judgment. However, the hopeful conclusion of chapter 11 sets the stage for the final 3 sections of the book. These sections unfold hope for Israel, hope for the nations, and ultimately hope for all creation. Ezekiel demonstrates his fondness for parables and allegory, portraying Israel as a burnt, useless stick, a rebellious wife, a dangerous raging lion, or 2 promiscuous sisters. These depictions illustrate Israel's senseless rebellion and idolatry, leading to their ruin. Ezekiel also adopts the role of a lawyer, presenting arguments for Jerusalem's deserved destruction after centuries of covenant violation. He contends that even if righteous figures like Noah, Daniel, or Job were alive and interceding for Israel, their prayers would not be accepted. The point of no return has been reached, and God's goodness demands justice upon this generation of Israel. Following the judgment on Israel, Ezekiel turns his attention to the nations surrounding Israel, particularly Egypt and Tyre, the two most powerful states in the region. Israel had formed alliances with these nations and adopted their gods and idols. God accuses the kings of Tyre and Egypt of arrogantly considering themselves as gods, who define right and wrong according to their own terms. God holds these kings accountable for their pride and announces that He will use Babylon to bring them down. They, along with everyone else, will face God's justice. Following the intense sections, chapter 33 presents a short story where Ezekiel meets a refugee who had just arrived from Jerusalem. The refugee delivers the report that Babylon has attacked the city of Jerusalem, which has fallen, and the temple has been destroyed. Ezekiel's grim words of warning have tragically come true. The exile marks one of the most horrendous catastrophes in Israel's history, prompting questions about whether God has forsaken Israel entirely. However, it's crucial to recall that at the end of chapter 11, God promised a future beyond exile for Israel. The remainder of the book is designed to delve into Ezekiel's vision of hope and explore the possibilities of restoration and renewal for Israel. We will continue our exploration of Ezekiel's visions of hope and restoration in the next chapter. Through Ezekiel's prophetic journey, we will witness the unfolding of God's redemptive purposes and His steadfast commitment to His people. Join us in our next discussion as we continue to discover the profound message of hope and promise embedded within the book of Ezekiel. Also, if you are enjoying today's episode, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, Palette of the Past. Thank you.